Hey guys, big shoes to fill, but I'll try. So today I'm going to talk about yield-bearing stablecoins and the implication on market structure. If you need to go to the bathroom, the TLDR is if we want to bring big flows to crypto, we need yield-bearing stablecoins, and this is the argument why. So let's go for it. The slides are representing my own. Sorry, how do I go next? So this is my own views. This is not Mountain protocol, non-financial advice, all the good stuff. So if you want to take a picture, but let's go. So I think we all know this, but it's good to review. So stablecoins were started when rates were very low. 2020, with COVID, rates went to like almost zero, 25 bips, and most of USDTs and USDCs run started after that. So kind of like the concept of a yield-bearing stablecoin was not a thing at the time. There was no demand for that. And only kind of like 2022 and mostly 2023, rates started to go up and probably will stay non-zero for the foreseeable future. So now we have a case for why yield-bearing stablecoins. But before we talk about crypto, the reason with non-yield-bearing stablecoins, we were pushed essentially to if you want yield, you need to rehypothecate your stablecoins, right? So Seb was talking about fractional reserve banking. That would be your SDAI. You can go to Aave as well, so you can lend your assets. Essentially, you're taking your IOU claim of your non-yield-bearing stablecoin and rehypothecating that IOU claim in some way, right? Either lending it out in a fractional reserve model with Athena, with Guy that's going to come afterwards. But essentially, you have some kind of risk reward if you want to earn any yield when the when the stablecoin is at zero. If we look at TradFi has integrated kind of like the SOFR or the risk-free yield in most of their products. On the left, we see high-yield checking accounts. Those are essentially a commodity if you live in the US. Unfortunately, if you live outside the US, probably Wise is the only way you can get that via TradFi. But they're very well integrated recently. For businesses, this is even more common, right? So sweep accounts, getting yield on your banking deposits. And here's two startups. So we have Brex Cash on the top and Mercury on the bottom, both advertising something like 5% interest rate. And if you talk to any business treasurer, this is kind of like table stakes for how they manage their money, and especially for financial products, right? So this is a very kind of like assumed thing that you're gonna have access when you talk about TradFi. The exception to that rule is retail, right? So this is a picture from Bank of America, but all of the big 4 banks in the US will have this. They will essentially give you a savings account with, if you're in a platinum tier, 3 bips of yield annually. And this is what bankers call lazy money. These are folks that are unsophisticated, and therefore you can extract a lot of value out of, and that's why the big 4 banks create so much value, because they don't have to pay for their deposits. So this is the exception that confirms the rule. So retail in the US and in my experience, retail in most places don't get paid for their deposits because they don't have the negotiating power and the sophistication to manage it. Now going back into crypto, we now have several. I founder of Mountain Protocol. We're one of them. So USDM, we have an option to bring those TradFi products on chain in a regulated way. So full reserve stablecoin. That essentially rebases every day and passes through most of the SOFR back to the holder. So essentially, a US Treasury strategy that gives you kind of like the reward that is associated to what the TradFi products would give you. And therefore, now we complete kind of like the efficient frontier in crypto. So why yield-bearing stablecoins, or why even talk about this if we have Aave, if we have SDAI, if we have Athena, we have all these cool products? And at least my view of how I think about the market is there's 3 big use cases for stablecoins. The biggest one, and I think the one that we're all most familiar with, is crypto speculation. And crypto speculation is kind of like my mental model for anything that would disappear if you were guaranteed that Bitcoin and ETH would be flat for the next 10 years, right? So anything that if crypto and ETH is flat, you wouldn't do, That, to me, falls into crypto speculation. So it's everything that has to do with lending, and leverage, and options, and derivatives, and stuff like that, that are tied to these types of products. So that is probably us here. That's most of us who participate there. And I would say that is where USDC is the biggest on DeFi, and USDT is the biggest on CeFi exchanges. The next one is inflation hedge. I'm from Argentina, for those who don't know me. And my introduction into crypto was this second use case. And that is a massive use case, mostly for USDT, which is I want to exit the Argentinian peso right now. Give me anything that looks like a dollar, right? And USDT on Tron has given that use case a big home. And most of the, at least my mental model, why USDT is so big comes by this second use case. And then there's the last one, which I think is the one that we're all excited about, but I put it in kind of like non-bold because it's still very small, right? So stables are better rails. I think we've all tried stablecoins and know intuitively going back to the banking system is very complex. When you have to pay in fiat, it is very complex. But this use case, I would say, is like single-digit percentage of stablecoins today compared to the other two. And the main reason for that is this use case, the first use case is I want to earn 30% plus, right? And there's a risk associated to earning 30% APY plus or some kind of numbers like that. Inflation hedge, you get a lot of people that want to exit the Argentinian peso, but it's not a big percentage of the total money supply, right? There's 20 trillion US dollars. How much of that is sitting in Argentina, in Turkey, in Lebanon, et cetera? It is sizable, but it's not the majority of the M2. This one is the real big one, and this is the whale that we want to bring in. So how do we bring these users into crypto? This big money doesn't target 30% APY with that risk level. They're targeting 8%, 10%, 12%, right? So this is low risk, low reward, high volume monies that can be brought in. And the case that I want to make to you after with some of the examples is yield-bearing stablecoins are not only benefit this use case, they are a necessity to make this use case work. So here are some examples. The first one is reinsurance. So today you have a 300K. So this is a pilot, but there is a policy, a travel policy that is backed by USDM today. There's also a reinsurance policy for hurricanes in Florida, so real-world use case, also backed by USDM today. And I want to take you to this item here. So the 9 to 13 has to do with if there are some losses, you might be at 9. If there are no losses, you might get 13. But that includes the 5% that USDM is currently paying. So if you take out that 5%, you go to 4 to 8% in return. If you wanted to do this without a yield-bearing stablecoin, no investor would ever go in and say, I'm going to take hurricane risk or travel risk or whatever risk that is for 4% if I can lend to the US government at 5, right? So the premium that you get paid in TradFi for the risks already assumes when you compete with TradFi that there's also going to be a complement of SOFR inside of that product. For context, this industry, only out of Bermuda, which is where we're regulated out of, is as big as the stablecoin industry, right, today. And it total like $400 billion, so it could be quite a multiplier to the total stablecoin market cap. Second example, and one I think I would love to see, is Forex. So if we think about the existing AMM economics, right? So if you go to a Uniswap, if you go to Curve, you're going to see your revenue, if you're an LP, is fees from swaps, which is usually very small, and incentives, right? So how many pools survive without incentives? Not that many, probably the USDC ETH pool and some others. Most of the pools require some incentive because you have a lot of costs for being an LP. Direct costs are cost of capital and operational cost. Right? Cost of capital includes your opportunity cost. But also you have impermanent risk cost, even if you are in a stable pair. If you are in the USDT, USDC pair, and USDC DPEGs, you're going to get 100% of that DPEG asset. So you still have some impermanent loss risk, and you have smart contract risk. If we want to scale Forex so that we can bring euro to dollar Forex on chain, no one is going to be able to pay for incentives. So the incentives are out. So, and if you want to compete with the banks are putting SOFR, their assets on SOFR. So essentially, you're going to have to be able to make money from fees on swaps. You'll have to put SOFR in order to get to that 8-9% that the capital providers are looking for. And the advantage of crypto is we are able to provide lower cost of capital because essentially you're targeting more people and hopefully access lowest cost of capital, operational cost, and these are the things that we're working on to reduce the risk of. But essentially, if we're going to bring Forex markets on chain, which are huge, we kind of have to have a yield-bearing stablecoin making those pairs, specifically for the ones that have the most risk, which are kind of like the volatile pairs, which is Forex. The last one is three-party arrangements. So three-party arrangements, I think most people here are going to be familiar with tri-party repurchase agreements or reverse repurchase agreements, which is kind of like a big backing for stablecoins. Usually the way they work is you have two parties agree on something, you have escrow, and you have an escrow agent, which essentially is a 2 out of 3 multisig, if you think about it. But if you wanted to participate in a repo agreement with someone, you would have to have several tens of millions of dollars in order to be able to access that market because this structure is very complex. This structure in crypto is a lot easier. And the amount of money held in escrow in different places is huge, right? So from buying a house to collateralized loans, there's people doing collateralized loans in dollars in Argentina with this type of model. So they put USDC or probably USDM into a safe account acting as a three-party agent. So this is the type of product that can bring a lot of volume into crypto by reducing the cost of the repo arrangement down to almost whatever you have to pay the three-party agent, essentially. So to close, yield-bearing stablecoins are a key piece of bringing this third category that we introduced at the beginning on-chain. And I think bringing that category on-chain is a requirement for what we're all doing here to be successful. I don't think we can build the future of the economy just with the first 2 use cases. I would say one of the big reasons why this money is not coming on-chain, there's many. I think regulatory clarity, the security of the smart contracts, there's a bunch of items. One of them is the ability to get kind of SOFR yield in your investments to participate, especially because you're targeting 10% APY. So this is like half of your target is the SOFR yield. And the good thing is a lot of the infrastructure to build this, to bring these products on chain, we've already been building. So we've been building lending markets, we've been building AMMs, we've been building derivatives. I think on the 3 examples that I gave, I could have given 10. So I'm very excited with what can come into crypto. And it's great because on the 3, and I wouldn't discard all of what we've done previously, we've reduced the risk of our smart contracts and so on a lot because they've been battle tested with billions of dollars. So it is easier to jump in. And now we're ready for prime time for this kind of 10% APY, big money to actually come in and play in crypto. So that's it. The big message is yield-bearing stablecoins requirement to bring big capital on chain. So if you're building a product and you want something that targets 10, 12% and not 30, I think enshrining yield-bearing stablecoins in your protocol is kind of a requirement. And if you want to talk more about this, I'm super excited about this topic. This is, I think, the thing that we've been kind of waiting for. So feel free to reach out, and I'll be around for the rest of the day to chat about this. Thank you.